Nothing but leave. Part 2.
Charlie Hayes seemed quite satisfied with this. Over the next few days, his biting sarcasm diminished significantly. Not only that, but the malicious pranks vanished entirely. As if possessed, he suddenly demanded to take me to get a custom evening gown made for his birthday party. Without a second thought, I flatly refused. Charlie got a bit huffy. Luna Carter, don't be ungrateful. I kept my eyes on my book. I am merely a study companion and tutor, not a socialite. What would I do with a high-end gown? Studying properly is the best way you can repay me. Once again, Charlie left, his face purple with rage. A few days later, Brandon Walker suddenly asked me, "What are you planning to wear to Charlie's birthday?" Staring at a difficult math problem, I blurted out, "A maid's uniform." He went silent. The next day, he brought a bag containing a dress from a luxury brand I recognized. He slammed the bag onto my desk with such bravado that the entire class turned to look. I recoiled, waving my hands. No need. Please take it back. If it's given to you, take it. Don't be ungrateful. Sound familiar? Charlie Hayes had appeared out of nowhere, standing by my desk with a sour expression. She belongs to me. I will prepare her dress, Brandon sneered. She could also belong to me. Stop hogging her. Sarah Parker tilted her head, looking at me. You two have no taste. I'll take her to pick a dress this weekend. I gave a foolish smile and refused. Evening gowns are expensive. I can't afford one. I'm gifting it to you, obviously. What are you thinking? Sarah chuckled, lightly tapping my forehead. Poor girl. She had to frantically scrub her hands afterward. Charlie nodded. Go pick one. I'll pay. Brandon immediately tossed his dress bag into the trash can behind him. If you won't take it, fine. I looked at him seriously. Tossing it is such a waste. If you invite me to your birthday party, I could wear this one. Brandon froze, glanced at me, then looked down at his phone. I wouldn't mind buying you a better one. This minor episode passed quickly. The weekend dress shopping went smoothly. Sarah Parker didn't play any tricks and actually helped me find a dress that suited me perfectly. By the end of May, Charlie's birthday arrived. The villa had been bustling for days. Servants busy with decorations, chefs preparing the menu, and me busy tasting the dishes, which were delicious. Once full, I reflected. In this life, my fate and Stella's past life were completely different. Would those villains still try to turn against me? On the night of the party, I stood in a corner wearing my beautiful gown. Charlie was surrounded by the brightest lights, flanked by Brandon, Sarah, and other elite heirs. I watched them quietly, matching each name to a face in my mind. Suddenly, Charlie turned to look at me. Our eyes met for a moment before he turned back to his conversation. The party consisted mostly of peers from the upper crust. In this world, the social connections of the children were as vital as those of the adults. Hey, whose house are you from? A male student standing near me evaluated me bluntly from head to toe. The dress was designer, but to truly project status, one needed sparkling jewelry, exquisite makeup, soft skin, and most importantly, the grace to navigate a gala. I didn't plan to hide it. I answered frankly. I am Master Charlie's classmate and tutor. He burst out laughing, drawing others closer. I've heard of her. She's the Hayes maid's daughter. Truly, clothes make the person. She actually looks decent. Did young Master Hayes dote on her enough to buy her a dress? There isn't something going on between them, is there? They laughed loudly, as if they had uncovered a scandalous secret. I was about to call for the young master when a girl beside me grabbed my arm. Don't speak, she said, then turned to them coldly. Watch your mouths, or you'll bring disaster upon yourselves. The boys didn't care, grinning lewdly. Disaster? What is she gonna show us? If she can seduce young Master Hayes, she must have something worth seeing, right? Ha ha. I immediately projected my voice. Young Master, there are people here hitting the dog without looking at the master. I know, Charlie Hayes interrupted, leading a group of heirs toward us. The girl beside me sighed and stepped back, giving the boys a look that said good luck to you. Charlie asked coldly, now what? Seeing Charlie come to my defense, the boys immediately grew flustered. We were just joking, it's nothing. Right, just chatting. Amidst the curious stares of the crowd, I spoke solemnly. They said the young master and I have an improper relationship. This kind of rumor is defamatory. I thought the young master should know. I heard Charlie sigh. He looked at them. Do you have no sense of shame? The boys immediately stammered apologies. Brandon Walker added sarcastically, Charlie, it's your birthday party. How did all these strays manage to get in? Charlie was truly angry now. He summoned the butler to escort them out. The party ended smoothly. Not only did I escape the humiliation of the past life, but Charlie had actually stood up for me. It felt like a story about a poor female lead assigned to a cold young master, gradually warming his heart. The feelings between us were shifting quietly. 2 years later, we graduated high school. I followed Charlie to the United States. Our relationship hadn't changed much, except he had grown accustomed to my temperament and care. I studied hard. Even in America, I remained in the top 3 of my major. Charlie occasionally couldn't understand it. You don't need to try so hard. When we go back, you'll join my company with a full salary. I didn't bring you to America to live on instant noodles. I slurped my noodles without looking up. I'll keep that in mind for the next banquet. Thank you, thank you. Charlie was speechless. He eventually started eating noodles too. America is a place of extreme freedom. Freedom so vast that it feels like your soul is running naked. Charlie wasn't the shy type. In fact, based on his past life, he was someone who knew how to enjoy himself. Enjoyment is the prerogative of those at the top. When wealth and status are fixed at birth, only other things remain to stimulate the senses. Charlie had a very messy romantic life, a common ailment among young masters. I occasionally stumbled upon scenes that required blurring, but I wasn't surprised. Everyone was nonchalant. Charlie went without saying. The girls he saw were indifferent, and I was the most indifferent of all. Carrying my laptop, I'd simply remind him, Young master, remember to use protection. Illness is such a hassle. Then I gently closed the door. Sarah Parker was also studying in the States. Though not at the same school as Charlie, they met often. She didn't become the radiant socialite one might imagine. Though she couldn't fully crush me in high school, her nature was hard to change. She just found different outlets. She once said herself that there must always be someone beneath her feet. Both had outgrown their teenage dreams. They now lived in an open relationship, each playing their own game. I, meanwhile, glided through this chaotic world with my head down, focused on my homework. Year after year passed. Only occasionally, while staring at a chat window on my phone, did I realize this was a completely different world. In my senior year, Charlie, fresh from a shower and drying his hair, poked his head over my shoulder. What are you looking at? He carried the scent of steam and a light body wash. Our cheeks were less than a span apart. Without turning, I could see his eyelashes clearly. At 21, Charlie was fully grown, broad-shouldered, sharp-featured, and arrogant. He was a man molded from money and prestige, possessing a unique magnetism. But we remained platonic, albeit perhaps a bit too intimate. I turned the phone to show him a photo my sister had sent. Charlie looked at it for a moment, then straightened up. Not as pretty as you, he remarked before walking away. We had identical faces. After graduating, I followed Charlie back to our home country. Brandon Walker and Sarah Parker returned as well. The once frivolous young master had transformed into a talented young businessman, swirling a wine glass in the corporate world. Naturally, I became Charlie's assistant. Brandon tried a few times to probe the nature of my relationship with Charlie. Once he got his answer, he began aggressively digging at the corner of the wall. This annoyed Charlie so much that he directly warned Brandon to stay away from me. Sarah Parker entered the entertainment industry. Nowadays, a beautiful socialite needs no acting talent to gain fans, especially when her family pours money into her career. However, paparazzi once caught her and Charlie entering and leaving a place together. Their history was dug up to the roots. Hot search was inevitable. Phrases like childhood sweethearts, a match made in heaven, and the couple I ship is real appeared everywhere. Hounded by paparazzi, Charlie had a massive phone argument with Sarah. Both were self-centered types. Fighting was a daily occurrence. After hanging up, Charlie said grimly, "Luna Carter, cancel tomorrow's schedule." I nodded. Yes, President Hayes. Lately, Charlie had been under immense pressure. The corporate world was far different from their school days. He leaned back on the sofa, exhaustion veiling his face. He told me to drive to the Banquet of Ages, a name that screamed elite hedonism, a sanctuary for the high-flying upper class. I looked at my watch, 11:30 p.m., but said nothing. Yes, I'll get the car. As I was about to leave, Charlie grabbed my wrist. I lost my balance and fell directly onto him. I let out a small gasp. Charlie held me tightly and sighed helplessly. Luna Carter, do you have any idea how long I've been restraining myself? I blinked, playing the serious, naive part. Restraining what? Are you in pain somewhere? Countless words choked in his throat. Finally, he just gave a bitter smile and let me go. You're so clean that I can't bear to break you. I looked down at the top of his head and replied naively, well, yes, I shower every day. Ultimately, Charlie went to the banquet alone, and I went off duty. When I got home, a small nightlight was still on. I pushed open the living room door. Stella was indeed still awake. She was wearing headphones, completely immersed in her own world. Her waist-length hair was dripping. She clearly hadn't dried it after her shower. The floor was covered in drafts. She was tapping away at an electric piano, her face focused, unaware of my presence. I didn't disturb her and retreated to my room. Sitting at my desk, I continued reviewing 2 sets of documents. I knew these 2 parties had no intersection with the Hayes Group system. To achieve my goal, I had to borrow the strength of others. Charlie was reaching marriageable age. The Parkers and the Hayes had always assumed a merger through marriage. Charlie's parents pressured him to get engaged to Sarah, but Charlie seemed to be entering a rebellious phase. He ignored them. When pushed too far, he'd simply slam the door and leave. While working, I'd occasionally look up to catch him staring at me with a complex, unreadable gaze. The Parker family's power had been declining lately, making them even more desperate for this alliance. Sarah sought Charlie out more frequently and even leaked news to the media that they were getting engaged to create momentum. Pressed from both sides, Charlie's temper worsened, making the office atmosphere suffocating. I maintained my duty as a general manager's assistant, never interrupting, never meddling, but I couldn't escape it. Charlie began making emotional remarks again. Luna Carter, being born into a family like this, not even being able to decide your own marriage, it's pathetic. I couldn't help a dry chuckle. Yes, quite. He looked at me, his voice dark. Even if you were a block of wood, you should understand by now. I replied frankly. President Hayes, I am gold. I am your gold assistant, and you don't know how to treasure me. You keep calling me wood. Thud. He stormed off in a rage. Sarah Parker came to find me one day when I was alone in the office. Luna Carter. She sat cross-legged on the sofa, her voice haughty. Coffee. I brought the coffee to her. She took a sip and smiled gently. Good to see you still remember my taste. Then her tone turned suggestive. I suppose I can't blame Charlie for not letting you go. You take such meticulous care of him. I remained expressionless. President Hayes pays a very high salary. HMPH. Sarah sneered. Stop playing dumb in front of me. Don't think I don't see what Charlie thinks of you. After all these years of circling around, you've become the white moonlight in his heart. I feigned ignorance. I have no idea what you're talking about, Miss Parker. She stood up, her gaze contemptuous. It's fine if you don't. Charlie keeps delaying the engagement because of you. I'll have to find another way. Assistant 2, wait and see the show. I calmly saw her out. Take care, Miss Parker. Sarah Parker indeed played a big card. She sought out Stella directly, offered a $1 million deposit, and told Stella to seduce Charlie. In her eyes, Charlie only refused the engagement because he couldn't have me. If he could have someone who looked exactly like me, even a substitute, the feeling of the unreachable would vanish, and he would let go of his obsession. Logically, it sounded sound. But the problem was Stella, a girl whose head was filled only with music, who was nearly going crazy from a lack of inspiration, happened to meet Sarah at her door. Initially dazed, Stella didn't recognize her, but once Sarah introduced herself and her goal, Stella was jolted. Past life memories collided with her current mental state. In less than a second, she called the police. When I got home, the police were comforting Stella, who was sobbing to the point of fainting. Luna, I was so scared. Wah! The moment she saw me, she lunged into my arms, crying like a storm. Standing nearby was Sarah Parker with a dark expression I'd never seen before. I felt as if she had cursed us 1,000 times in her head. According to her assistant, Stella had screamed, backed away, and called the police while frantically pulling her own hair. Don't come near me, you heartless devil. Don't you dare hurt me again. The police were helpless with someone as non-communicative as Stella. They could only suggest, "Miss Two, perhaps you should take your sister for a checkup." I gave a strained smile and nodded. "Yes, I'll take her. I'm so sorry for the trouble." Just as I saw the police out, I heard a voice. "Luna Carter, what's going on?" Charlie Hayes had appeared, and the tension spiked again. This time, it was Sarah. Already aggrieved, she exploded. "Charlie Hayes, what are you doing here?" "Coming to my assistant's house." I didn't intend to get caught in her rage and carried Stella to her room. Stella had calmed down, exhausted from crying. "Sorry, I caused trouble for you again," she whispered. I gently wiped her tears. "I'm the one who dragged you into this mess." After she recounted everything, her eyes were red, but she smiled. "I told you you'd live well anywhere. But please, don't think about revenge for my sake anymore. You're healthy, I'm healthy. In this life, that's enough." My Stella was always so gentle, always thinking of me first. "Don't worry, you know me best. I know what should and shouldn't be done." Stella shifted over, and I lay down beside her. We held hands, forehead to forehead. I whispered, "To me now, the Hayes and Parkers are just flies buzzing around a great tree. We are young. We have plenty of time to handle this. I'm very happy, Luna. I have a talent for music. People like the songs I write, and I have you by my side every day. My biggest headache is just how to write a better song, something I never dared dream of in my past life." She smiled innocently. "Let's protect this happiness together." I smiled too. "Yes, definitely." There was a knock at the door. I tucked Stella in and opened it. Sarah was gone. Charlie stood there looking drained. "Why didn't you tell me from the start?" I poured him a cup of tea. "Because it wasn't necessary." "Not necessary?" His voice rose slightly. "I am." He choked on his words and gave up. "Has Brandon contacted you lately?" I nodded honestly. President Walker invited me to dinner a few times, but it clashed with work, so I refused. Charlie burst out laughing, a mix of gloating and empathy. He looked at me and murmured, "What exactly is this charm of yours?" 3 years later, Charlie had outgrown his rebellious phase and solemnly became engaged to Sarah Parker. My title was still general manager's assistant, but my work was entirely different. I handled key projects. My actual power was nearly half that of an executive director. Sarah's media stunts grew more elaborate, and Brandon never stopped trying to dig at the corner in various ways. Charlie was busy beyond belief, radiating an aura that made people keep their distance. In contrast, I was very happy. Stella had joined a singer selection program. She didn't win, but she took 3rd place and received a mountain of flowers and public love. When I got home from work and saw her short hair, I was stunned. "Stella, what happened to your hair?" In that moment, a barrage of thoughts crossed my mind. Anti-fan attacks, acid splashing. Stella dusted flour off her hands and smiled, spinning around. "What's with that face? Isn't it pretty? The fans say I look great with short hair." I sighed in relief and rubbed her head. "Yes, it's beautiful." Stella continued humming as she cooked. The drawer where I kept the diary now held only data on the Hayes and Parker corporations. I always liked to be one step ahead. If a simpler path appeared before I had to manually dismantle them, I wouldn't pass it up. So every day I silently prayed that they would tear themselves apart from the inside. Science or superstition, I believed in it all. With a focused mind, an answer eventually comes. Brandon Walker had recently finished a major project and was in a relaxed mood. In his spare time, he liked to cause trouble, even going so far as to drive to the company to pick me up for dinner. The next day, word reached Charlie, who promptly had security block Brandon's license plate. Time flowed like water. When I was 28, Charlie and Sarah got married, a real-time hot search event. 2 months later, I voluntarily resigned due to a non-compete clause in my contract, becoming temporarily unemployed. Stella seemed to have expected this. She pulled out a bank card and proudly handed it to me. "Spend as much as you want. I won't be polite," I said, taking it immediately. Charlie probably thought I left because I was heartbroken. He drove over several times, drunk, looking for me, but every time I was as cold as a block of wood. Send him away. During my 2 years at home, I didn't waste time. The connections I built at the Hayes Group didn't vanish with a resignation letter. I also tracked Sarah Parker's every move. When I was 30, Stella released a song commemorating her 30th year. I put on my business suit once more and entered the Walker Group building. The sky turns gloomy, heavy clouds without rain. Your umbrella appears before me. I look up to see a face exactly like mine, strangely familiar. Stella held the umbrella for me and whispered, "Call me when you're done. I'll pick you up." Brandon Walker stepped out of the building. Seeing the two of us, he froze. Stella leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Luna Carter, are you choosing him this time?" Whether letting go or standing by, both are a form of cruelty. I will always choose you. What if everything is heading in a completely different direction from the past life? What if I know his feelings have changed? What if their malice is no longer aimed at me? What if the emotions between us have shifted? I am just a snail in a shell, hiding a knife, slowly crawling up the grapevine, patiently waiting for the day the grapes ripen. That is the end of the story. Thank you for listening and following along. Summary of the final themes. The snail with a knife. This metaphor indicates that while the protagonist seems passive or thick-skinned, she has been meticulously collecting data to eventually bring down the families that ruined her sister in the previous life. Strategic independence. Unlike her sister's tragic end, Luna has secured financial and social power, ensuring she and Stella are no longer victims of the elite's whims. Open ending. The story leaves the final strike to the imagination, suggesting that Luna is finally ready to execute her long-term plan now that she is no longer an employee.